can't believe I have this entire place to myself. There's not a tourist. There's not an employee or a staff member or anyone working on the archaeological digs right now. There's nobody. I have this entire place to myself, and that in itself alone is amazing. I am standing in the middle of one of the most famous Mayan cities in the entire empire. And its historical significance to the conclusion of the Mayan story is, it's unbeatable. So the historical significance of Tayasal, and I'm going to also reference its proper name, which was No Peten, was the original Mayan name. The significance of this place is that it was the very last Mayan city to fall to the Spanish. And that did not occur until 1697. Now that's 170 years after the arrival of the Spanish in Mexico and in the greater Mayan Empire. So for it to have lasted that long beyond the arrival is pretty amazing. Now, of course, once the city was taken over, the Spanish looted it and then tore it down brick by brick, and ultimately used those bricks to build the cathedral that is now over on Flores Island. There's a single truck driving by as I'm talking, so I don't have it quite to myself, but pretty close. However, through excavation efforts over the last few decades, and I'm literally standing in the middle of one of those spots right now, there is still some history here. And I'm standing in front of one of the stelas that was uncovered here, that was left behind. And this is stela number 1, which presents a human head figure in the middle, which you can see has the eyes there and the top of the head. And I'm going to try and get a close-up. And this is what remains. So you've got this large stone stela with the face on it and some other symbols. Just a really cool piece that still exists here. You can see that as they're working, they've got everything covered up here. As I would assume, they have uncovered things like original pigments within the site. For example, this stone here, I would say that's probably all the original red pigment on the stone. And this actually has, again, hard to see, but there is some carvings on the stone. There's a bottom line. So that is, the bottom piece of what would have been a much larger stela. So we're going to continue to walk around, but I want to come over to this mound here first. Because like with most of these sites, until they are uncovered, the temples and pyramids just look like hills, obviously covered over time with leaves and dirt and things like that. But when you get up close, and as they have dug it out, you can see this is clearly man-made. With all of the stones, there's actually some steps around the base, and this work obviously is ongoing because the rest of this is still covered up. But again, there you can see clearly the outline of steps that would have led up this temple on the front. More cut stones along the bottom there. Painstaking work, and I would imagine very slow work to do this all properly. Some of this is all roped off here, so I'm certainly not going to go into the roped off areas. But if we come around this side, so this is all the same pyramid structure. And there's a little worn path here, so I'm going to take a walk on it. So it's a little hard to see because it's dark. But you can see they're clearly working on this wall, and again have uncovered stones that make up the base of this pyramid. You know, and there's, looks like almost like a doorway structure with all the dirt on top. What an amazing spot. And I've been to certainly plenty of sites throughout Mexico, Belize, and now here in Guatemala. And I mean, I almost prefer places like this that are not fully uncovered, that leave, a lot of mystery to them. And the fact that I have it to myself is also kind of amazing. I'm not going to touch anything. I'm just going to walk in through here, but you can see all these stones and all the work that's being done. But again, painstaking work that would take months and years to complete, and depending on the amount of funding and that sort of stuff, it could take decades. Here is the one. So the road we came in was pretty rough, I'm not gonna lie. She's pretty washed out and bumpy. And there's the one sign that indicates where we are. It's an archaeological investigation site doing research here at Tayasal. So over here is work on another structure, pyramid maybe, certainly a temple of some sort. And again, this is a good example here of how difficult this work must be, where you're trying to dig out this rock and you've got all these tree roots coming through it, which would not only make it difficult to work around, but would obviously be loosening the material over time as the roots grow through it. But again, here you can see clearly defined steps with white paint on the fronts. So much more work to be done here, but just amazing to see even this amount. Here's another wall that's been uncovered. So you go straight up. And then you get all this sort of loose material above it to give you an idea just how deep this material goes. Like that is probably from where the green to here is, there's 4 feet roughly. Let's go over this way, because there were more buildings over here that are being worked on. Just up on the top of the site over here, and you can definitely see some of the walls that have been uncovered, and then the big flat base upon which this place was built even is still here. So they're clearly doing some restoration work, putting the rocks back together here with some fresh mortar in some cases. But again, you can see definitively some of the original wall structure that was still here even after the city was basically torn apart. And I mean, this just goes on. I can see, you know, there's a work site there, there's a work site there, more wall here. There's a sort of path through here that I'm just kind of following. I don't think by any means it's an official path. It looks like the one that workers are using to get around to the various dig sites. It's hat time, too hot. So just made our way up this walkway here. I wasn't really sure where it was going to bring me, but this is the rest of the park, because there was a sign hanging right there that said Archaeological Park of Tayasal. And I would be willing to bet that this was a structure with the pointed top. I think that there's an even bigger structure here that we might get around to in a minute, because I see some steps that go up over that side towards the top. The sheer size of this place must have been impressive, and being at the top of the hill from a defensive, you know, strategic standpoint would have been the perfect spot. But even just as I'm walking around, like, I see little stones on the ground, look like foundations almost everywhere I look. So this is another sign similar to what I saw when I first came in. Archaeological research working area. So I think I can go up and have a look. So we just come up that walkway, come over here, up that set of stairs. I think the whole top of this hill was either one large structure or a series of smaller ones. Let's take a walk over here and have a look. Again, there's a path up here, so I'll just follow that. Clearly a lot of excavation going on here. Pretty well covered up at the moment. But there's certainly hints of a base here. The ground's very soft. There's definitely a building of significance. Here's a little piece of it sticking out right here. And I would say this is probably the same over here. Again, you can definitely see some structure back there that's being worked on and excavated. Some of this looks like it hasn't been worked on for quite a while, though, I would say. There's a view, or partial view, of some of the Lake Peten. This is the same lake that Flores Island sits on. That lake is pretty big, though. I think it's something like 100 square kilometers in total. So, certainly covers a very large area. So when you go to, you know, the more famous sites of, say, Chichen Itza or Tikal here in Guatemala, or Uxmal, or some of the other sites I've been to, you know, this is kind of how they all initially start. Lots of dirt, lots of trees to be cleared, and lots of slow work to uncover what was here without damaging it too much in the process, along with trying to, you know, restore it, fix it up, and maintain it. And again, like, people go to Tikal because it's the most famous and the most impressive, but there are so many sites within the original Mayan Empire area to see that places like this are worth checking out too, in my opinion, because it just gives you a sense of some of the true history that was here and some of the mystery that's yet to be discovered. Just some more of these, I want to call them unnatural mounds here in the area. Again, probably smaller temples, buildings. You can almost see it, like there's one here, there's one there in the back, there's another one here, so it's almost like a flat courtyard with temples around the outsides of it. I could be wrong. Been wrong before, but certainly seems plausible, especially when you look directly behind and it gets very flat again. So, like much of the area here, you know, this is all pretty flat, and then you get to those unnatural mounds. What a beautiful walk through here. There's this whole walkway that's been built up to kind of walk around the park with these kind of offshoots that you can go and explore different areas, or you can just continue to follow it right around. This place will be really magical when they you know, do even more restoration work and archaeological work here. This is clearly a man-made structure. You can see stones poking out there, up there, and all that sort of loose stone that we often see. So we just came off the raised walkway down through this path in the woods. This will be the last stop here for Tayasal, and from all indications it is one of the best stops here in the city of Flores and surrounding area, but gotta go down to get up. Well, it's not much of a sign, but it does say Mirador this way, and that's what we're going to. So this is the first look-off point at the first set of stairs. Yes, I still have more to go, but absolutely stunning look here at Lake Peten across the water from here is Santa Elena, which is sort of the main town near Flores, which is behind these trees. Some other small islands out there in the middle. A few boats going by. Just a spectacular day and an insane view from up here. But we still have one more set of stairs to go to get to the top. So let's go. There's the second set of stairs to get up to the top at El Mirador.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
So we've made it up to the top of the hill here, which was actually originally a three-sided pyramid. And this is El Mirador del Rey Can Ek. And Rey Can Ek is King Can Ek. And that was the full title for the king in the Peten area. So this was not just his name, but that was a series of rulers between 1200 and 1697 when Tayasal was finally defeated by the Spanish and the last of the Mayan Empire fell. Just a beautiful spot here. It is a hike to get up. As you saw, it was two sets of stairs. When you get to the top, you get this beautiful overlooking view of the island of Flores, Santa Elena on the other side, and the entire Lake Peten in front of us, and all the way around over there too. And there's a little treehouse look off here that I'm just waiting to get up to. It's very busy up there at the moment. But just an absolutely stunning view here to cap off this little tour of Tayasal. And it's pretty impressive that, you know, everyone goes to Tikal, but, you know, I saw very few people here. This is the busiest I've seen it today, is here at the look-off. I've seen maybe 10 or 12 people. And beautiful walk through the woods. Lots of archaeological work being done here. So definitely a place you want to come check out. And as soon as that platform upstairs clears off, we'll go up there and have a look at the upper view. Well, I'm not great with heights, but this was definitely worth the climb. So this gives you almost a full view of the entire lake, except for what you can see here in the middle, obviously, but straps all the way along here. Again, Flores Island in the middle, Santa Elena on the other side, and then the lake just continues quite a distance that way, and then all the way back around. So this was the look-off on top of the pyramid that was dedicated here for the rulers in the Peten region of the Mayan Empire. And it was used, you know, people think, oh, the Mayans and the Aztecs and the Incas, and that's all such a long time ago. But really, in the end, this is where the Mayan Empire sort of concluded, I guess. 1697 is only just over 300 years ago, before the Mayans were finally defeated by the Spanish here. And again, you can see on top of Flores, the cathedral that was there, built with the stones that were taken from the city of Tayasal that was here at one time, and was here for 500 plus years. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little tour of Tayasal, one of the probably most important from a historical perspective. One of the most historical sites in the entire Mayan Empire, but probably one of the lesser known for sure, at least in the general public. But I thought it was a really cool opportunity to come and check it out here in Guatemala. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. And now I get to walk all the way back to where I started.